Let's dive right into this explainer. If you've ever wondered how a Toastmasters meeting actually runs, the real secret is that it functions almost exactly like a live, well-oiled theatrical production. There's an entire cast of characters working behind the scenes to make it all happen. So we're going to look closely at the 13 unique roles that literally keep the show on the road.
To make this whole ecosystem super easy to grasp, we're breaking these roles down into 5 main groups: directing the meeting, taking center stage, the feedback loop, the virtual environment, and finally, mastering your skills. Let's get to it.
First up, directing the meeting and managing that production flow.
These are the folks who ensure the entire production stays completely on track, right from the opening gavel to the final sign-off. Now, it might be kind of tempting to look at these roles as purely administrative, maybe even a bit dry. But they absolutely aren't just busy work. Taking on the mantle of directing the meeting, that is your fast track to developing incredible planning, organization, and time management skills, all in a very low-stakes, highly supportive environment.
The Toastmaster acts as the meeting's true director and host. They really do it all: recruiting roles, prepping the agenda, introducing speakers, and facilitating the timing. Because they carry the flow of the entire event, you typically only take on this role once you're thoroughly familiar with club procedures, just to ensure everything ends precisely on time.
Supporting our director, we have 2 really crucial co-stars. First is the opener, who kicks things off by delivering an uplifting 1 to 2 minute non-denominational message. This is just to create a focused mindset for the group. Then we have the table topics master. They're basically the mastermind who selects topics in advance and then calls on random volunteers who don't already have a speaking role. It's a great way to ensure absolutely everyone gets a chance to participate.
Moving on to Section 2, taking center stage, where the talent steps up.
Once the stage is set, it's time for the talent to step up to the mic. This is the part of the meeting most people think of when they hear the words public speaking. This is where the talent truly shines. But what's cool is that the program cleverly divides speaking into 2 very distinct types of challenges to build your confidence in completely different ways.
The contrast here is super distinct. The traditional speaker prepares, rehearses, and coordinates any props or screen shares early with the team. On the flip side, the table topics speaker has absolutely zero preparation. None. They have to synthesize their thoughts right there on the spot and deliver a coherent response in just 1 to 2 minutes. Talk about thinking on your feet.
If you're wondering what that impromptu speaking is called, table topics is a famous, long-standing club tradition. It specifically hones your ability to think quickly. Now, sure, you can choose to dodge the question and pivot to a different topic, kind of like you might see a politician do during a press conference. But a quick pro tip for you: dodging the question is definitely not recommended if you're actually competing in a table topics contest.
All right, Section 3, the feedback loop. This is really the heart of the program. Once the talent has performed, we transition to what elevates this whole thing beyond just, practicing in front of a mirror in your bedroom. Evaluation is the absolute heart of the program. It's the engine of growth. Without this feedback loop, you just wouldn't know what you're doing right or what you need to improve on. Members step up to act as supportive critics for one another. And let me tell you, they take this very seriously.
Leading this loop is the general evaluator, who oversees the mechanics of the entire meeting. Working under them are the speech evaluators, who give specific, objective verbal and written feedback to the prepared speakers. And they famously use the sandwich approach. Basically, that means they layer their constructive criticism right between 2 nice, thick slices of genuine praise. It keeps things super encouraging.
A really specialized part of this feedback loop is the grammarian. This person monitors language usage throughout the meeting. They listen for incomplete sentences, mispronunciations, and they might catch grammatical mistakes. For example, they might gently remind a speaker that it should be 1 in 5 children wears glasses rather than wear glasses.
Another highly specific, and let's face it, sometimes kind of dreaded feedback role is the ah counter. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a role completely dedicated to tracking the overused words and filler sounds that we all tend to use as a crutch when we're nervous or just trying to find our next thought.
The ah counter is hunting for specific culprits. If you find yourself frequently using words like and, but, so, ah, or well, they're going to quietly record these crutches on their template. When they present their report at the end, it helps everyone build much better observational habits about their own speech patterns. It's an eye-opener for sure.
To keep all of this feedback and speaking on track, we have the timer.
The timer follows a strict, silent workflow. They use a timing device silently. They hold up green, yellow, and red visual signals to let speakers know exactly where they stand, and at the end of the meeting, they report the exact speech times. It forces everyone to learn how to express a complete, impactful thought within a very tight window.
Rounding out our feedback team is a really fun role, the word watcher. Their job is to expand the club's vocabulary. They select an unfamiliar word of the day, usually an adjective or adverb, introduce it to the audience, and then track who uses it the most. Whoever manages to organically slip the word of the day into their speaking the most times, they get crowned the word wielder at the end of the meeting. How fun is that?
Moving right along to Section 4, the virtual environment and our online tech crew.
Over the past few years, as we all know, a lot of meetings have moved online, which requires a whole new set of skills. Think of these newer member roles as your very own live television tech crew. Their entire purpose is managing and optimizing the digital experience for everyone who is watching and participating from their living rooms or home offices.
We have two primary tech roles here. First up, the chat monitor assists the Toastmaster by watching the text chat, answering questions, and reporting noteworthy comments so the speaker doesn't get distracted. Alongside them is the screen watcher. They provide crucial feedback on visual framing, lighting, and distracting background noise. They're making sure you look just as professional on a webcam as you would at a physical lectern.
Finally, Section 5, mastering your skills, basically answering the question, what's in it for me?
We've seen all these roles, but it's time to answer that ultimate question. The brilliance of this setup is that you aren't just volunteering for busy work to keep a club running. Every single time you step up to take on one of these distinct roles, you are systematically upgrading your professional toolkit. You're building tangible, real-world skills that you will absolutely carry with you into your career.
There's a direct skill breakdown at play here. Being the Toastmaster, that builds incredible organization and facilitation skills. Jumping into table topics forces you to master impromptu speaking. Acting as an evaluator totally sharpens your active listening and critical thinking. And running the timer hones your visual observation and strict time management. Literally every single role has a direct, real-world payoff.
We've covered the directors, the speakers, the evaluators, and the tech crew. So with 13 unique ways to challenge yourself and support your peers, the only question left for you to consider is this: which role will you volunteer for at your very next meeting to transform your own communication skills?